The Great Hall of Nexus Prime buzzed with quiet conversation as dozens of alien species gathered for the monthly Galactic Council meeting. Representatives from across the galaxy sat in their specially designed chairs, each made to fit their unique body shapes. The air recycling systems worked hard to keep everyone comfortable, mixing different atmospheric needs into something everyone could breathe. Ambassador Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire stood at the central podium. His tall, thin body seemed to glow with a soft blue light, and his crystalline features caught the overhead lights as he moved. He had been coming to these meetings for over 50 years, and today he faced a familiar task, explaining the rules to newcomers. The newest members of the council were the Vexhi, an insect-like species that had just achieved faster-than-light travel. Their representative, Queen Voice Zixara, sat in the front row. Her forearms moved constantly as she took notes on a small device. Her large compound eyes missed nothing, and her antennae twitched with curiosity. "Welcome to your first official council meeting," Kethvar said, his voice carrying easily through the hall's translation systems. "Before we begin regular business, I must review the basic laws that keep peace in our galaxy." Zixara's voice came through clearly, though her mouth parts moved in ways that seemed strange to most other species. "We have studied your laws, Ambassador. They seem reasonable, but we have questions about the star charts." "Please ask," Kethvar replied, though something in his tone suggested he knew what was coming. "The region marked as Quarantine Zone Alpha covers a large area of space. Our scientists estimate it contains over 2,000 star systems, yet the species that controls it, these humans, are relatively new to space travel. How can such a small group control so much territory?" The hall grew quiet. Several other representatives shifted in their seats. Some looked uncomfortable, others seemed worried. Kethvar noticed the change in mood and nodded slowly. "This is always the first question new members ask," he said. "The answer is simple, but the explanation is complex." He touched a control on the podium and a large, holographic display appeared above the gathering. It showed a three-dimensional map of local space. Most areas glowed in different colors, showing which species controlled which regions. But one large section remained dark gray with red warning symbols around its borders. 200 years ago, a new species appeared in that region. They called themselves humans. At first they seemed normal, not particularly strong, not especially advanced. They had just learned to travel between stars using basic technology that most of us had mastered centuries earlier. Kethvar paused and looked directly at Zixara. Within 50 years, that small species had claimed more territory than some of our oldest civilizations. More importantly, they had convinced everyone else to stay away from their space. "Convinced how?" Zixara asked, her antennae practically vibrating with interest. "Fear," said a new voice from the back of the hall. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was Ambassador Veltar from the Chronic Hegemony, a massive creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a rhinoceros. His people were known as some of the fiercest warriors in the galaxy. "I have been on this council longer than most of you have been alive," Veltar continued, his deep voice rumbling through the hall. "I remember when the humans first arrived. My government sent 3 battle fleets to welcome them to the galaxy." "What happened to the fleets?" asked a representative from the Stellar Alliance. Veltar's dark eyes seemed to look at something far away. "They vanished. All of them. No distress signals, no wreckage, no survivors. One day they were there, the next day they were gone. The humans sent us a simple message afterward. Thank you for visiting. Please make an appointment next time." Several representatives made sounds of surprise or concern. The Vexhi delegation began talking rapidly among themselves in their clicking language. Kethvar regained control of the meeting. The Chronic were not the only ones to lose ships in human space. Over the past 2 centuries, 17 different species have sent either exploration vessels, trade missions, or military forces into that region without permission. None have returned. "But surely some must have escaped to tell what happened," Zixara said. That is the strange part, Kethvar replied. Occasionally, a ship does come back. The crews tell stories of being captured, studied, and then released. But these stories are disturbing. The humans seem to know everything about us, our psychology, our weaknesses, our military capabilities. They study captured aliens like scientists study laboratory animals. The holographic display changed to show incident reports and dates. Red markers appeared at various points along the human border, each representing a lost ship or fleet. The humans do not seem interested in conquest in the traditional sense, Kethvar continued. They do not invade our worlds or demand tribute. They simply exist in their space and make it very clear that entering without permission is unwise. What about trade? Asked someone from the Merchants Guild. Surely they need resources, technology, cultural exchange. They trade, Kethvar said, but only on their terms, in neutral space and never in large groups. They seem to prefer dealing with individual ships rather than entire fleets. Some say their technology is surprisingly advanced. Others claim they are still primitive, but extremely clever. Zixara stood up, her forearms moving in what her species considered a formal gesture. With respect, Ambassador, this sounds like rumor and fear-mongering. Has anyone actually tried to establish formal diplomatic contact? Before Kethvar could answer, the hall's main communication system activated. A holographic image appeared. Next to the podium, a human male in what appeared to be a military uniform. He was middle-aged with short gray hair and calm brown eyes. Good day, council members, the human said with a slight smile. I am Admiral Jake Morrison, Human Liaison Officer. I apologize for interrupting your meeting, but our monitoring systems detected elevated discussion about human space. The hall fell completely silent. No one had called for human contact. Their communication systems were supposed to be secure. Admiral Morrison's smile never wavered. To answer the Vex High representative's question, yes, formal diplomatic contact is always possible. We maintain an embassy on the neutral station Delta 7 for exactly that purpose. Any species wishing to establish formal relations is welcome to visit. We only ask that you make an appointment first. His image began to fade, but his voice remained clear. As for entering our space without permission, well, we prefer to think of it as trespassing. And we treat trespassers the same way most civilized species do. We detain them until we can determine their intentions. The hologram vanished, leaving the hall in stunned silence. Kethvar cleared his throat. That queen voice, Zixara, is why no one dares enter human space without permission. They are always watching, always listening, and always one step ahead. Zixara's compound eyes reflected the overhead lights as she processed what had just happened. The humans had been monitoring a secure Galactic Council meeting and had responded to their discussion in real time. Either their technology was far more advanced than anyone suspected, or they had sources of information that should have been impossible. I think, she said slowly, that my species needs to learn more about these humans. Kethvar nodded grimly. Many have thought that. Some even tried. The question is whether you will be smart enough to do it the right way. As the meeting continued with other business, Zixara found herself staring at the red warning symbols on the star chart. Her people were natural explorers and scientists. The idea of a mystery so close to their new territory was almost irresistible. She began making plans. 3 weeks after the Galactic Council meeting, the Vex High exploration vessel Hiveseeker moved silently through space toward the edge of human territory. Captain Zekmon stood in the center of his ship's command area, watching the sensor displays with satisfaction. His crew of 40 moved efficiently around him, their 6 legs allowing them to navigate the cramped spaces better than most species could.
Stealth systems operating at maximum efficiency, reported his sensor operator. The humans should not be able to detect us at this range. Captain Zekmon clicked his mandibles together in approval. The Vex High had spent considerable resources
developing their stealth technology. Their ships could bend light around themselves and mask their heat signatures. They had tested it against every known species except humans. Remember, Zekmon announced to his crew, this is strictly a scientific mission. We observe only. Queen Voice Zixara wants to understand these humans before making any formal contact. In the navigation area, tech specialist Vixara worked at her instruments. She was young for her position, but her technical skills were exceptional. More importantly, she was Queen Voice Zixara's offspring, which gave this mission special significance for the Vexhai government. "Captain," Vixara called out, "I am detecting a structure ahead. It appears to be a space station at the very edge of human territory." The main screen showed a modest-looking station surrounded by a few smaller ships. According to their sensors, it held maybe 200 humans and seemed to be some kind of research facility. "Scan for weapons," Zekmon ordered. "Basic defensive systems only," came the reply. "Nothing that could threaten a military vessel." Zekmon studied the readings. The station looked harmless, almost vulnerable. He had expected massive fortresses and weapon platforms at the border of such a feared territory. Instead, he found what appeared to be a simple research outpost. "Move us closer. I want detailed scans of their technology and communication traffic." As the Hive Seeker approached, they began intercepting human communications. Most of it seemed routine: duty schedules, supply requests, and scientific reports. One conversation caught their attention. "Dr. Chen to command," came a female voice. "The botanical samples from Sector 7 are responding well to the modified growth environment. We should have results within the week." "Copy that, Doctor," replied another voice. "Keep us updated on the plant studies," Vixara translated for the crew. "They appear to be studying plants, Captain. Perhaps developing new food sources or medicines." "Botanical research?" Zekmon's antennae twitched with amusement. "These are the fierce humans that have terrorized the galaxy. They study flowers?" The Yaba crew began to relax. If humans spent their time on peaceful plant research, perhaps the stories about them were exaggerated. Maybe fear had grown larger than facts over the years. "Take us closer," Zekmon decided. "I want to observe their research methods. This could be valuable intelligence about human science." Dr. Lisa Chen stood in the laboratory section of research, Station Frontier 7, checking on her latest experiments. She was a small woman with dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Her lab coat was stained with various chemicals, and she wore protective glasses that reflected the bright grow lights. "Computer, increase nutrient flow to sample batch. C7, she said while making notes on her tablet. "Acknowledged," the station computer replied. "Dr. Chen, please be advised that Commander Parker has requested to see you in the security office." Lisa sighed. Ryan Parker was the station's security chief, and he only called people to his office when something was wrong. She finished her notes and walked through the station's corridors toward the security section. Commander Parker was a tall man with short brown hair and alert green eyes. His office was small but efficient, with multiple screens showing various sensor readings and communication logs. "Lisa, good, you're here," he said without looking up from his screens. "We have visitors." "Visitors?" Lisa sat down in the chair, across from his desk. "I thought all scheduled transports were delayed until next week." "These are uninvited visitors," Parker said, finally looking at her. Long-range sensors picked up a ship approaching from outside human space. It's using some kind of stealth technology, but our new detection systems caught it anyway. Lisa felt her stomach tighten. "How close are they?" "Close enough to intercept our communications. Close enough to scan our facilities." Parker's expression was grim. "They think they're undetected, so they're being careless. Our analysis suggests they're Vexhai, the new species that just joined the Galactic Council. What do they want?" "Unknown, but they've been studying us for the past 2 hours. Their scans are focused on our research areas and defensive capabilities." Lisa thought about her botanical samples and felt a chill. "Ryan, you know what I'm really working on in there, right?" "I know," Parker said quietly. "The question is, do they?" Meanwhile, aboard the Hive Seeker, Captain Zekmon was growing more confident by the hour. The human station showed no signs of detecting them. The research seemed genuinely peaceful. Most importantly, the defensive systems were minimal. "Captain," Vixara reported, "I have identified the human research leader. Dr. Lisa Chen appears to be a botanist specializing in plant genetics. Her published papers suggest she is developing new food crops. Excellent work, Zekmon replied. Continue monitoring. I want to understand their research methods before we withdraw. But Vixara had noticed something odd in the data streams she was intercepting. Captain, I am seeing some unusual energy signatures from their laboratory section. The power consumption seems excessive for simple plant research. Explain. Growing plants requires light and basic nutrients, but this laboratory is using power levels comparable to a weapons development facility. Before Zekmon could respond, every alarm on his ship began sounding at once. Captain! His sensor operator shouted. Multiple contacts appearing around us. Large ships, heavily armed. Where did they come from? The main screen now showed 5 human warships surrounding the Hive Seeker. They seemed to have appeared from nowhere, though sophisticated sensors showed they had been there all along, using stealth technology far superior to anything the Vexhi possessed. Incoming transmission, reported the communications officer, his voice shaking. Put it through, Zekmon ordered, trying to keep his own voice steady. A human male appeared on their screen. He wore a military uniform with commander's stripes and had calm blue eyes that seemed to see everything. Vexhi vessel, this is Commander Parker of Human Defense Station Frontier 7. You are trespassing in restricted space. Cut your engines, and prepare to be boarded. Zekmon found his voice. Commander, we mean no harm. This is a scientific mission to study. To study our defensive capabilities and research programs, Parker interrupted. Yes, we know. We've been monitoring your scans and communications since you crossed our border 3 hours ago. 3 hours? That meant the humans had detected them almost immediately, long before the Vexhi had detected the station. You have 2 choices, Parker continued. Surrender now for processing or attempt to flee. I should mention that our weapons are already locked onto your ship, and our stealth technology is clearly superior to yours. On the Hive Seeker, Vixara was frantically working at her computers. Captain, I am detecting massive energy buildups in their weapons systems, but more concerning, I have accessed some of their data files. Dr. Chen is not studying food crops. What is she studying? Zekmon asked, though he was afraid of the answer. Biological weapons, Vixara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Highly advanced biological weapons designed to target specific alien species. The botanical samples are weaponized plants that produce toxins lethal to non-human life. Forms. Captain Zekmon felt his confidence drain away completely. Not only had the humans detected his supposedly invisible ship, but they had been allowing him to observe a weapons development program. Either they were incredibly confident in their abilities, or this was some kind of trap. Commander Parker, he said, we will comply with your instructions. Wise choice, Parker replied. Please stand by for boarding. And Captain? Welcome to human space. I think you'll find your visit educational. As the human boarding craft approached, Zekmon realized that everything the Galactic Council had said about humans was true. They were always watching, always, one step ahead and absolutely not to be underestimated. He also realized that his scientific mission had become something much more dangerous, a lesson in why the galaxy feared these strange creatures who studied both flowers and death with equal skill. Captain Zekmon found himself sitting in what humans called a conference room, aboard the massive warship Liberty's Edge. The room was larger than his entire command center, with a long table that could seat dozens of beings. The walls showed star charts and technical displays that hurt his eyes to look at directly. Across from him sat Captain Alex Rodriguez, commander of the human dreadnought. Rodriguez was a middle-aged man with dark skin and patient brown eyes. He wore a simple, blue uniform with captain's stripes, but something about his presence made the room feel smaller. Tea? Rodriguez asked, gesturing to a steaming cup placed in front of Zekmon. What is tea? Zekmon replied cautiously. A hot drink made from plant leaves. Completely harmless, I assure you. We analyzed your species' dietary requirements before you arrived. Zekmon's antennae twitched nervously. Before we arrived, how long have you known about our mission? Since the planning stages, Rodriguez said calmly, taking a sip from his own cup. We have been monitoring Vexhi government communications for several weeks. Your queen voice Zixara is quite curious about human space. The Vexhi captain felt his confidence crumble further. If humans could intercept secure government communications from outside their territory, their technology was far more advanced than anyone realized. Lieutenant Amy Foster entered the room carrying a datapad. She was young with short blonde hair and sharp green eyes that seemed to calculate everything they saw. She nodded to Captain Rodriguez and took a seat next to him. "Captain Zekmon," she said, "I have prepared a briefing on your mission's true objectives. Would you like to see what we know about your government's plans?" Before Zekmon could answer, she activated a holographic display above the table. It showed detailed star charts of Vexhi territory, including military installations that were supposed to be classified. "Your species has territorial expansion plans that would bring you into conflict with 3 neighboring civilizations within the next 50 years, Foster continued matter-of-factly. "The Stellar Alliance controls resources you need. The Chronic hegemony occupies strategic jump points. The Zephyrian Empire has technology you want to acquire." "How do you know this?" Zekmon whispered. "Because we make it our business to know," Rodriguez replied. "Lieutenant Foster specializes in predictive analysis. She can tell you what your government will decide before your leaders know themselves." Foster smiled, and Zekmon realized it was not a friendly expression. "For example, right now Queen Voice Zixura is meeting with her military advisors. She believes you have been captured or destroyed. In approximately 6 hours, she will authorize a rescue mission using 3 heavy cruisers. This mission will arrive in human space in 4 days. "That is impossible," Zekmon protested. "Those meetings are classified at the highest levels." "Captain," Rodriguez said gently, "would you like to know how many Vexhi agents currently work in our intelligence services? Or would you prefer to know how many human agents work in yours?" The room fell silent except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Zekmon stared at the holographic displays showing his species' most guarded secrets laid out like items in a market. "What do you want from us?" he asked finally. "That depends on you," Rodriguez replied. "But first, I think you should meet some old friends." The conference room doors opened and 3 figures entered. Zekmon's compound eyes focused on them and his mandibles clicked in shock. They were Vexhi, members of his own species that he recognized from previous expeditions. "Captain Zekmon," said the first one, "I am Commander Teklar. Perhaps you remember me from the exploration vessel Distant Seeker." Zekmon did remember. Teklar had vanished 3 years ago while investigating a strange signal near human space. He was listed as missing and presumed dead. "You are alive," Zekmon said stupidly. "Very much so," Teklar replied. "As are the crews of 7 other Vexhi ships that supposedly disappeared in human space. We were not destroyed, Captain. We were invited to stay." "Invited?" A human male entered the room, carrying what appeared to be medical equipment. He was older with gray hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "I am Dr. Kevin Walsh," the human said. "I specialize in alien psychology and cultural studies. Captain Zekmon, would you like to know what really happens to ships that enter human space without permission?" Dr. Walsh activated another holographic display. This one showed the interior of what looked like a comfortable living facility. "This is Sanctuary Station," he explained. "It houses approximately 3,000 aliens from 47 different species. All of them are individuals who entered human space either by accident or with hostile intent." "You keep them as prisoners?" Zekmon asked. "We keep them as guests," Rodriguez corrected. "Guests who happen to provide us with valuable information about their species, their governments, and their technologies. In exchange, they receive comfortable accommodations, interesting work, and the knowledge that they are contributing to galactic peace." Commander Teklar stepped forward. "Captain, I have spent 3 years studying human methods and philosophy. What I learned changed everything I believed about warfare and diplomacy." "What did you learn?" "That humans fight wars by preventing them," Teklar said. "They maintain peace through controlled fear rather than actual violence. Do you know how many humans have died in military conflicts in the past century?" Zekmon admitted he did not. Fewer than 500, Dr. Walsh provided. Across their entire species, they achieve victory without battle by making potential enemies too frightened to fight. Lieutenant Foster leaned forward. Every ship that enters our space is allowed to enter. We track them, study them, and learn everything we can about their species and their intentions. Then we demonstrate our capabilities in ways that ensure the visitors will spread stories about human power when they return home. But some ships never return, Zekmon pointed out. Because some choose to stay, Rodriguez explained. We offer every captured crew the same choice: return home with a story designed to maintain human mystique, or remain with us as advisors and cultural liaisons. Dr. Walsh gestured to the Vex High officers who had entered earlier. Commander Teklar and his crew chose to stay. They have become valuable members of our intelligence community. They help us understand Vex High psychology and predict your government's own actions. You use our own people against us? We use volunteers to prevent unnecessary conflicts, Rodriguez corrected. Captain, your species is planning wars that would kill millions of beings across multiple star systems. We prefer to stop those wars before they start. Lieutenant Foster activated another display showing detailed battle projections. Based on current territorial expansion plans, the Vex High Empire will be at war with the Stellar Alliance within 18 months. Casualty projections range from 2 to 4 million deaths in the first year alone. How can you possibly know that? Because Lieutenant Foster has studied every major galactic conflict for the past 3 centuries, Dr. Walsh explained. She has identified the patterns that lead to war. More importantly, she has developed methods to disrupt those patterns. Rodriguez stood up and walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars. Captain Zekmon, your government believes it is exploring human space to gather intelligence. In reality, you are here because we wanted you here. We have been manipulating Vex High decision-making for months to ensure this exact meeting would occur. Why? Because your species is approaching a critical decision point. You can continue on your current path toward multiple wars, or you can accept human guidance toward a more peaceful future. Foster smiled again, and this time Zekmon realized the expression was not threatening, but sad. The choice is simple, Captain. Work with us to prevent the coming wars or become another cautionary tale about what happens to species that ignore human warnings. Commander Teklar placed a clawed hand on Zekmon's shoulder. They are not our enemies, Captain. They are gardeners, and we are plants that have grown in the wrong direction. They wish to help us grow properly. And if we refuse? Dr. Walsh looked directly at him with those kind eyes. Then in 5 years, when the wars are over, and millions are dead, the survivors will ask why no one tried to prevent the tragedy. We will be able to say that we tried. Captain Rodriguez returned to his seat. Captain Zekmon, you have 6 hours to make a decision. You can return to your ship and go home with a story about human power that will terrify your government into cooperation. Or you can stay and help us save your species from itself. What kind of story? The truth, Rodriguez said simply. That humans are always watching, always learning, and always one step ahead. That we have the power to destroy any species that threatens galactic peace, but we prefer to redirect them toward more constructive purposes. Zekmon looked around the room at the casual display of overwhelming intelligence capabilities. These humans knew everything about his species, their plans, their weaknesses, their future decisions. They could have destroyed the Vex High Empire without anyone knowing how or why. Instead, they offered a choice. 6 hours, he repeated. 6 hours, Rodriguez confirmed. Choose wisely, Captain. The future of your entire species may depend on it. In the private chambers aboard Liberty's Edge, Captain Zekmon sat alone for the first time in days. The humans had given him a comfortable room with furniture adapted for his physiology. The walls showed peaceful images of various worlds. Some he recognized. Others were completely alien. A small device on the desk provided updates from his homeworld if he wanted them. He did not want them. Instead, he stared out the viewport at the vast human fleet that had appeared around them. Dozens of ships hung in space like sleeping giants, their hulls dark against the stars. Each one was larger than anything the Vex High had ever built. and his sensors could not even begin to analyze their capabilities. A soft chime indicated someone wanted to enter his quarters. "Come in," he called. Admiral Sarah Mitchell stepped through the door. She was an older woman with silver hair and sharp blue eyes that seemed to see through everything. Her uniform bore more rank insignia than Zekmon had ever seen on one person. "Captain Zekmon," she said, settling into a chair across from him. "I am Admiral Mitchell, Supreme Commander of Human Defense Forces. I wanted to speak with you before you make your decision." "I am honored," Zekmon replied, though he felt more terrified than honored. "I doubt that," Mitchell said with a slight smile. "But I hope you will find our conversation useful. Captain Rodriguez and his team have shown you our intelligence capabilities and our methods of preventing conflicts. I want to show you why we developed those methods." She activated a small holographic projector, and images began floating in the air between them. The first showed a blue and green planet covered with cities and lights. "This is Earth, our homeworld," she explained. 300 years ago, our species nearly destroyed itself in a series of global wars. We learned something important from that experience. The images changed to show massive battles, destroyed cities, and millions of graves. We learned that the cost of winning a war is often higher than the cost of losing it. More importantly, we learned that the best victory is the one that prevents the war from happening at all. Your species achieved peace through superior firepower? No, Mitchell said firmly. We achieved peace through superior thinking. When we reached the stars and encountered other species, we had a choice. We could repeat the mistakes of our past and fight for territory and resources, or we could find a better way. The hologram now showed early human exploration ships encountering alien vessels. Our first contacts were disasters. We were too direct, too honest about our capabilities. Several species interpreted our peaceful intentions as weakness and attacked us. What happened to them? We defended ourselves, Mitchell said simply, and in defending ourselves we accidentally created the reputation that now keeps the galaxy peaceful. The images showed the aftermath of those early conflicts. Alien fleets reduced to debris fields, entire military installations neutralized, without a single human casualty. The problem was not that we won those fights, the Admiral continued. The problem was that we won them too easily. Word spread that humans were incredibly dangerous. Soon, no one wanted to fight us at all. That sounds ideal. It was until we realized the unintended consequences. The hologram showed star charts with large empty zones around human territory. Other species became so afraid of us that they stopped exploring, stopped expanding, stopped growing. Fear was freezing galactic civilization. Zekmon's antennae twitched as he began to understand. So you developed methods to control the fear. Exactly. We realized that a little fear prevents war, but too much fear prevents progress. We needed to find the perfect balance. General Marcus Stone entered the room, carrying a datapad and wearing the expression of someone bringing important news. He was a large man with graying hair and scars that suggested extensive combat experience. "Admiral," he said, "we have confirmation. Queen Voice Zixara has authorized the rescue mission. 3 heavy cruisers will depart Vexi space in approximately 2 hours. Right on schedule," Admiral Mitchell replied. "Thank you, General." Zekmon stared at them. "You knew exactly when my government would make that decision?" "We helped them make it," General Stone explained, taking a seat. "Our intelligence operatives fed your government carefully selected information designed to produce that exact response at that exact time." "Why?" Admiral Mitchell leaned forward. "Because your rescue fleet will arrive here just as you are making your decision about cooperation. The timing is not coincidental." The holographic display changed to show a tactical projection of Vexi space. 3 ships were indeed preparing to depart for human territory. "General Stone specializes in what we call strategic theater," the Admiral explained. "He arranges events to create maximum psychological impact. Your rescue fleet will arrive, expecting to fight for your freedom. Instead, they will find you safe, comfortable, and making informed decisions about your species' future. You are manipulating them." "We are giving them the same choice we gave you," Stone corrected. but we are presenting that choice at the moment when they will be most likely to make the right decision. Admiral Mitchell stood and walked to the viewport. Captain, would you like to see what happens to species that choose differently? The hologram changed again, showing a star system with several dead worlds. The planets were intact but lifeless, their surfaces scarred by what looked like massive industrial operations. The Vareth Collective, she said quietly. They were a warlike species that conquered 17 different civilizations over the course of 2 centuries. We offered them the same choice we are offering you. They refused? They laughed at us, General Stone said grimly. They called humans weak and claimed our reputation was based on lies and propaganda. They threatened to prove their superiority by conquering human space. What did you do? We removed them, Admiral Mitchell said simply. Not through war or violence, but through economic and technological isolation. We convinced their trade partners to cut all contact. We disrupted their supply lines and communication networks. We made it impossible for them to maintain their empire. The hologram showed the collapse in time-lapse. The Vareth worlds gradually losing their technology, their populations declining, their civilization falling apart. Within 50 years, they had reverted to a pre-industrial society, the Admiral continued. They still exist, but they no longer threaten anyone. Most importantly, they serve as an object lesson for other species about what happens when you ignore human guidance. Zekmon felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. You destroyed an entire civilization without firing a shot. We redirected a destructive civilization toward a more sustainable path, Stone corrected. They are still alive, still capable of growth and development. They simply cannot harm others anymore. And this is what you will do to my species if we refuse to cooperate? Admiral Mitchell returned to her chair. Captain, we hope it will not come to that. The Vex-Hi have many positive qualities. You are natural explorers and scientists. Your curiosity and technical skills could benefit the entire galaxy. But our territorial expansion plans concern you. Your territorial expansion plans will lead to wars that serve no one's interests, General Stone said bluntly. The resources you seek can be obtained through trade. The strategic positions you want can be shared through alliance. The technologies you desire can be developed through cooperation. You want us to abandon our expansion entirely? We want you to expand in ways that do not threaten your neighbors, Admiral Mitchell explained. There are thousands of uninhabited systems available for colonization. There are countless opportunities for peaceful development and growth. The hologram now showed those possibilities. Empty star systems ripe for development, potential trade routes, collaborative research opportunities. The choice is simple, she continued. Work with us to build a better future for your species or force us to ensure that your species cannot threaten that future. A communication alert sounded, and Captain Rodriguez's voice came through the ship's intercom. Admiral, Captain Zekmon's rescue fleet has just entered human space. They should arrive at our position in approximately 4 hours. Perfect timing, Admiral Mitchell said. Captain Zekmon, you now have 4 hours to decide not just your own fate, but the fate of your rescue fleet, and potentially your entire species. General Stone activated another display showing the approaching Vex-Hi ships. Those crews believe they are coming to save you from human captivity. What they find here will determine how your species views humanity for generations to come. If I choose to cooperate, what happens to them? They see a powerful human fleet and a fellow captain who has made a wise decision to work with us rather than against us, Admiral Mitchell replied. They return home with a story about human reasonableness and Vex-Hi wisdom. And if I refuse? They see the same powerful fleet and a captain who chose poorly, General Stone said. They return home with a story about human power and Vex-Hi stubbornness. Either way, they go home with a story. Admiral Mitchell stood to leave. 4 hours, Captain. Use them wisely. The future of millions depends on what you decide. As the 2 humans left his quarters, Zekmon realized that his choice had never really been about himself. From the moment his ship crossed into, 6 months later, Captain Zekmon stood in his new office on Research Station Frontier 7, looking out at a sight that still amazed him. HFY and human technicians worked side by side in the station's expanded laboratory sections. The partnership had grown beyond anyone's expectations. Dr. Lisa Chen entered his office carrying 2 cups of tea, a habit she had developed since learning that HFY actually enjoyed the human beverage. Her botanical research had taken on new dimensions with HFY scientific methods, leading to breakthroughs that benefited both species. "The morning reports," she said, setting 1 cup on his desk and settling into the chair across from him. "The joint agricultural project on New Harmony is exceeding all projections. Your people's soil analysis techniques combined with our genetic modification methods are producing crops that grow 30% faster than either of us achieved alone." Zekmon clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. Queen Voice Zixara will be pleased. Food security has been a concern for our expanding colonies. "Speaking of expansion," Lisa said, "Ambassador Morrison sent word that the Galactic Council has approved your species' application for the Kepler 442 system. That makes 7 new systems allocated to HFY development in the past 6 months. All uninhabited systems rich in resources but requiring no conflict to obtain," Zekmon noted. "I admit, the human approach to expansion is far more efficient than our original plans." Through his office window, he could see one of the human patrol ships that now regularly moved through this sector. But instead of the fearsome warships he had first encountered, these vessels carried mixed crews and served as mobile research platforms and diplomatic outposts. Commander Ryan Parker entered the office, now wearing insignia that marked him as head of interspecies security cooperation. His role had evolved from station defense to training joint peacekeeping forces. "Captain," he said, "we have received word from HFY Space. 3 more species have requested formal meetings with your government about possible cooperation agreements." "Which species?" "The Stellar Alliance, the Meridian Republic, and surprisingly the Chronic Hegemony." Zekmon's antennae perked up with interest. "The Chronic? They have been isolationists for generations." "Apparently they are reconsidering their position," Parker said with a smile. "Word of HFY success under human guidance is spreading throughout the galaxy. Other species want to know if similar arrangements might be possible for them." Dr. Lisa Chen activated a holographic display showing the current galactic political situation. Large sections of space now showed cooperative agreements, shared research zones, and peaceful trade corridors. "The domino effect is accelerating," she observed. "Each species that chooses cooperation makes it easier for the next one to make the same choice." A communication alert sounded, and Queen Voice Zixara's image appeared in the office. The HFY leader looked healthier and more confident than Zekmon remembered. Her government had prospered greatly from their association with humanity. "Captain Zekmon," she said, "I am calling with excellent news. The Galactic Council has voted to establish a new organization, the Interspecies Cooperation Initiative. They have asked the HFY to serve as mediators for species seeking guidance in peaceful development." "That is indeed excellent news," Zekmon replied. "How many species have expressed interest?" 17 so far, with more inquiries arriving daily. "It seems your initial mission has accomplished far more than we ever hoped." After the communication ended, the 3 friends sat quietly for a moment, contemplating how much had changed. "I have been thinking," Zekmon said finally, "about that first day when I was captured. Admiral Mitchell told me that humans prevent wars by making the right choice seem obvious. But I think there is more to it than that." "What do you mean?" Parker asked. "Humans do not just make the right choice obvious. You make cooperation more rewarding than conflict. Our species is stronger now than it ever was when we planned to expand through conquest." Dr. Chen nodded. "That was always the goal. Show that working together produces better results than fighting over resources." "But there is something else," Zekmon continued. "Something I only recently understood. You are not just preventing wars between existing species." Parker leaned forward with interest. "Go on." "You are preparing us for something bigger. All this cooperation, all this shared technology and combined resources. It is not just about preventing local conflicts. A new voice spoke from the office doorway. Ambassador Jake Morrison stepped inside wearing the expression of someone who had been waiting for this conversation. "Very perceptive, Captain," Morrison said, taking a seat. "You are correct. The peace, initiatives and cooperation agreements are preparation for a larger challenge." "What kind of challenge?" Morrison activated his own holographic display, showing long-range sensor data from the edge of the galaxy. Strange energy signatures and movement patterns that clearly indicated artificial origin. "Deep space monitoring stations have detected evidence of extragalactic civilizations," he explained. "Multiple civilizations, all more advanced than anything in our galaxy, and all moving in this direction." Zekman felt his exoskeleton chill. "Invasion? Unknown. But given the distances involved and the resources required for intergalactic travel, their intentions are unlikely to be peaceful. Our best estimates suggest first contact within 50 to 70 years. Dr. Chen gestured to the data streams flowing across the display. "Every cooperation agreement, every peaceful alliance, every shared technology development, it all serves to strengthen our collective capabilities. The quarantine zone around human space was never about keeping others out," Parker added. "It was about creating a controlled environment where we could develop the methods needed to unite the galaxy." Morrison stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the mixed human-Vexi crews working together. "Every species that chooses cooperation over conflict makes our galaxy stronger. Every peaceful resolution of territorial disputes frees up resources for defense preparation." "How many species know about this threat?" Zekman asked. "The leadership of every species that has achieved full cooperation status," Morrison replied, "which now includes the Vexi government. Queen Voice Zixara received the full briefing this morning." "Is that why she seemed so confident about the future?" "Partly, but also because the Vexi are now positioned to play a crucial role in galactic defense. Your natural curiosity and technical skills, combined with human strategic thinking and manufacturing capabilities, have produced some remarkable innovations." Dr. Chen activated another display showing joint research projects. "The biological adaptation techniques your people developed combined with our genetic modification methods have solved problems we never could have handled alone. When the extragalactic civilizations arrive, we will be ready for them. And if they prove to be peaceful, then we will have created the most advanced and unified civilization in galactic history," Morrison said. "Either way, cooperation serves our interests better than conflict." Parker smiled and gestured toward the busy laboratories visible through the office windows. "Look at what you have accomplished in 6 months, Captain. Your species went from planning wars with your neighbors to leading galactic cooperation initiatives. Imagine what we can accomplish in 50 years. As if summoned by their conversation, tech specialist Vixara entered the office. She now served as liaison between Vexi technical teams and human research groups, and her work had led to several breakthrough discoveries. "Captain," she said excitedly, "the quantum communication array is finally working. We have established real-time contact with research teams in 7 different star systems. The coordination possibilities are incredible." "Show me," Zekman said. Vixara activated the new system, and suddenly the office was filled with holographic images of scientists and engineers from multiple species, all working on related projects across vast distances. "With this technology," she continued, "we can coordinate research and development across the entire galaxy. When our visitors arrive, they will find not just individual species with limited capabilities, but a unified civilization with unlimited potential." Morrison nodded approvingly. "That, Captain Zekman, is why no one dares enter human space without permission. Not because we destroy those who try, but because we transform them into something greater than they were before. And now? Now the Vexi carry that same responsibility. You have become the bridge between human methods and alien perspectives. You help other species understand that cooperation is not surrender, it is evolution." As the day continued with reports of new cooperation agreements, successful joint projects, and expanding peaceful alliances, Zekman reflected on his journey from would-be spy to galactic diplomat. He had entered human space seeking to understand why the galaxy feared these strange creatures. Instead, he had learned that the galaxy did not fear humans at all. They feared change. They feared growth. They feared the possibility that they might have to become better than they were. The humans had simply made it easier to choose growth over stagnation, cooperation over conflict, and unity over division. Looking out at the stars, Zekmon knew that when the extragalactic visitors finally arrived, they would find a galaxy very different from the one